Cryptocurrency is still all the rage with so much commentary in the media that it almost seems commonplace as a staple in the world of finance. But we need to ask, is all as it seems? Are we now engaged with cryptocurrencies as a society? Do we even understand what they mean to us as individuals? And who's using them? Are they actually day-to-day, or are they still the realm of digital entrepreneurs or even the dark web inhabitant? Well, today we've got Digital Pete. And Pete is the head of digital at DB Results, whose team are driving digital transformation across the Australian industry. And today, we're going to explore the topic of cryptocurrency, a little bit to help me, a little bit to help you, and the adoption and what changes in the market that will bring about this out of the shadows and into our everyday lives. So, Digital Pete, where are we with cryptocurrency? What can you tell me?
Well, first of all, hi, and thanks for having me today. It's great to be back and into another mad sort of year. Look, cryptocurrency, it's interesting. It's a question of adoption. I think crypto's been around for a while now, certainly starting with Bitcoin, and we've heard about that for years. But it's really interesting to look at the stats. And there was a Saxo survey done recently, and in Australia, around about 10% of Aussies think they understand what cryptocurrency is. And within that, that's biased. About 21% of men and about 7% of women understand crypto. And when you get over 65, the understanding really sort of drops off. So it feels like you really have to want to go and find out about it and go and do the research. And it's still a little bit fringy in that regards. But some of the coins themselves are a little bit better known. So we've all heard of Bitcoin. Well, 38% of us have. Still below 50, Ethereum 12%, and thanks to Elon Musk, Dogecoin comes in at 8%. So that little Shiba-Shan dog we've seen everywhere, that Japanese dog with the Dogecoin, is certainly making that one a little bit better known. But look, if we think about where this all started, it used to be much easier to understand. There was Bitcoin, and that was it. Then there was Ethereum, and then there were others that came on the market. Then everyone tried to capitalize. And there are now hundreds of coins on the market. It seems there's at least a new coin being released each week. And it's so much to understand. It's getting so complicated for the average person to pick up and understand. There needs to be a better way for everyone to get their heads around it. But there's some of the stats that we're seing right now.
Well, they're very interesting numbers, and they do tell a story. But I wonder how accurate they are, with 25% of people saying that they understand them. I think I might be included in that, as someone who just nods as my eyes glaze over when I'm cornered at a party with somebody telling me all about them, or the constant emails about getting on this. How long till we see them as an actual day-to-day transactional thing, Pete, till we can actually go down the shops with my digital wallet in my pocket, get the bread, the milk and some petrol with a Bitcoin or with a Dogecoin or Ethereum or any of the others? How long until that actually happens?
Yeah, look, it's something you can do now, but it's only if you, I'd say, try hard conceptually. You've got to go and seek it out. It's not pervasive. It's not everywhere. I've got friends who've set up crypto businesses where they provided crypto POS terminals, so you could go to a bar and you could use your Bitcoin to buy a beer. And that was a few years ago, but it was just for the enthusiasts. It was like a club of crypto investors that would go and play with this. But since then, we've seen, I think, around about 800,000 Australians estimated to have owned cryptocurrency at some stage. But I think a lot of people got into it from the get-rich-quick scheme sort of ethos, a bit of FOMO, don't want to miss out, want to ride the wave and turn my $10 into $10 million based on how the price of these cryptos allegedly are going to increase. But to get to payment, it takes some other change, possibly from the government, to introduce a coin, which is part of the plans they're starting to announce now. It takes I guess, a desire from businesses to want to trade on crypto, and that takes understanding from the people who run those businesses, as well as, I guess, a groundswell of supply of people who want to turn up with their cryptos and buy. And then it's probably demystifying some of the coins that are there and what are good for everyday trade, what are good for investment, because there's a wide variety of differences in fluctuation of price and values, and the cost of a transaction also varies based on that coin. So we really need to see some sort of standardization, some sort of government or more pervasive backed sort of cryptocurrency itself. And then I think we'll start to see it becoming more commonplace. But if you want to, you can go and use it at the shops now.
Well, Pete, all of those things you mentioned, whether it's centralised or standardised transactions, government involvement, isn't that actually taking away or counter to the actual selling point of those who instigated Bitcoin, where they wanted none of the government, none of the centralisation and free reign over it? Couldn't that kill it off or force them further to the extreme to come up with something else?
Yeah, it's well, maybe it's a coin for everyone. Maybe it's a different cryptocurrency for different purposes. But if we think about, I'm thinking about adoption on mass in general. If we want everyone to be using cryptocurrency or providing more people with the option to use cryptocurrency, we need something that's more acceptable to a wider section of the population. And sure, the promise of blockchain implementations like cryptocurrency is that they're decentralized. It's peer-to-peer. The network provides the governance. You don't need a separate body like the government governing how it operates. So there'll be those who will look at a government currency and say, no, I don't want to participate. And certainly over the years, we've seen that organised crime, for example, have leveraged that anonymity to use cryptocurrencies to do their trade because it's untraceable in a lot of circumstances. But a lot of that's changed as well. There's now more regulation around the entry and exit points of crypto. There's a better understanding from a government perspective. For years, governments have been criticised for not really fully understanding what crypto is and how cryptocurrencies work. In particular, how does currency move in and out of the country without being picked up for being over the $10,000 limit and being taxed? Well, it doesn't. It's just in the internet. So all of those things I think are going to be debated. But if we think about just for today, just about adoption, what's it going to take to get more people to get involved? I think there's some moves happening in the market that we need to look at now, which are hoping to drive that uptake.
Well, we've just recently seen the Commonwealth Bank come out with a program and a definite initiative around this. Will that give some more security for those hesitant to get in? And with the volatility, is that a feature or a flaw that may actually dissuade those going in? Because when we see those wild fluctuations where people make hundreds of thousands of dollars in a day because of those fluctuations, and then there's the opposite side where it's not for the faint of heart, where they lose the money, even though it's unrealised profits, it's only paper profits, you haven't actually lost that reality. What's going to happen there with the big players coming into the market? Will that volatility go?
Yeah. Look, I think the CBA move is a really big one. I think that's a great opportunity for pushing adoption within Australia. You're talking about one of the most widely used and certainly one of the top internet banking application in the country. CommBank's right at the forefront there. By adding in cryptocurrency capabilities to that app, that puts it in front of millions of people instantly. And then it's a question of, I guess, how quickly that gets taken up and what features are actually in the app. And I think CommBank's got a great opportunity to go and test and learn and roll out new features. And that'll drive, how much of this is used for investment, how much of it's used for day-to-day payments and everyday sort of banking sort of scenarios. And then as far as the fluctuations, well, it's about which coins are then supported through a vehicle like the CommBank app or other platforms. Some fluctuate wildly, and some are stable and fixed. So and that might come down to the individual's risk appetite as to how much of your money you put in each. So you might want to put some into a high risk, potentially high return coin, as opposed to a stable coin, but that's going to stay where it is, or maybe something that's going to have a lower risk profile. But it's a bit like putting money into shares, although at the moment it's more volatile and it's less predictable. But given investment houses are moving money between shares and coins now, and you can start to see how they balance out against each other, that's, I think, got to change and stabilise and provide more options for people going forward. But we need to get it in front of people so they can understand and work out for themselves what they want to do with this sort of capability.
Now, Pete, given DV Results' extensive expertise in this field and having sat back and seen the transition and transformative nature of the applications that come through the government, how much confidence do we have in the government setting up these regulations? Will they be seeking input from industry, or are they just going to try and get it done right on their own and adjust it as they go?
Yeah, look, I'm actually pleased to say I've seen that the government's already sought input already, and I've heard of many people have been asked to be consulted by the government to understand what crypto is, how these coins operate, and how they can best roll out a solution or their own cryptocurrency. So I think there's been a lot of consultation going on, which is great. I mean, the government hasn't always had a great track record of delivery of all projects. I think that's been well publicised, but I think they've really put a lot of effort into this and a lot of focus. And given its currency, it really needs the right eyes on it and the right focus to make sure it works. But it's like anything new, it's going to have to be tested and improved. And once it's out there, the government will need to move with some agility and speed to make sure it is tested and works in the right context for all of us, so that it will get picked up and used, because it's new. This is changing the way we do some fundamental things that have been part of society for a long time. So there's probably also got to be a bit of tolerance from the rest of the world as well in adopting it. And there'll be a trial sort of settling period, but I've got high hopes that it'll go well.
Well, it definitely sounds like there's an opportunity for potential for wide-ranging and hopefully beneficial improvements for society. So, Pete, thanks so much for your time.
No worries. Thank you.